There is always that one game that needs no introduction. Force Unleashed is one of them. It broke sales records, it let you play as the bad guy, it let you choke people, it had weird tentacles that grope you. What else could you want? So, working my way through platinuming every single Star Wars game, I finally get to this one. The question is though, does the game hold up? Is the platinum as fun as we remember just the normal game being? Part 1. Darth Vader adopts a child. Off the top of my head, no game has really ever introduced such a badass intro. You start as the main villain of one of the most prolific franchises. You run through a beloved planet, ravaging it, tossing massive, normally terrifying enemies as if they are just ragdolls. And apparently, you are so strong, you also bridge universes and do a few cameos. This section gets us 2 trophies, one for obviously completing the prologue, and another for pushing over 100 enemies. Unfortunately, Vader's voice isn't quite as good. Crispy vocal cords apparently makes you extra British.
Master Ram Kota. He is attacking a critical Imperial shipyard. Destroy him and bring me his lightsaber.
We then get our classic love story start. Man sees woman, man's robot turns into woman, woman sees man looking at herself, ready for a good time, woman starts falling in love. Star Wars loves an extremely weird toxic relationship. Anyway, our platinum struggle begins pretty quickly because we need to have our eyes open for holocrons, this game's collectibles, which awards us skill points and cosmetics. Missing one could be a huge pain, which you guess that happens for me, but you'll find out about that. The refreshing part of playing this so far is that the game does feel like a Star Wars game and not a cringe fanfiction like a certain other game that I did.
We can end this here. Oh no. This is just the beginning.
The story checks out, motivations check out, and at this point I really hope it stays that way. In the first room of the game, you should get the Sith Frenzy trophy for an 8 times combat bonus. Pretty quickly I level up, unlocking the skill upgrade system, which, while laid out very simply, offers a good amount of variety and choice. Do you want to focus on health or maybe force upgrades? Well, unfortunately for us, we are once again on a hard difficulty, so we just need whatever makes us not die. Do you know what I didn't realise I missed though? The good old days of over-the-top ragdoll physics in quick-time events. Everyone complained, but now I crave games with these little cheesy gimmicks. I remember when God of War had a quick-time event for pushing away a child.
He knew there was but one thing to do.
And if you thought Jedi Survivor was the first game to really let you customize a lightsaber, you're...
You are dead wrong.
Collectibles such as this one get you both different cosmetic crystals, but also power crystals which change up the way the lightsaber functions. Trapped on an elevator smashing square until they stop shooting me apparently gets me a trophy called Skilled, for gaining 250,000 force points in a single level. Though really, it should have been called Button Masher. Eventually we find our way to the surviving Jedi, who is, for some reason, absolutely obsessed with my gender.
Sends a boy to fight me?
I don't want to do this, boy, but I can't let you live, boy.
We get the Insurrection trophy for finishing this first level and Corellian Star for completing all bonus objectives in a level.
Your future. I sense only me.
Then we get one of the best levels in gaming history, a level which gave child me a core memory. Abusing Jawas and watching their tiny bodies fly like grapes from a catapult awards us the deserved Bully trophy. Unfortunately, the game is fairly fast to show some of its aged jank. It's been great fun throughout and still is, but a lot of very annoying things happen that shouldn't. The first mini-boss in this area is a pain because you don't actually know what's hitting you, but this is minor compared to the amount of times you'll just slip off an edge mid-combo and die going all the way back to a checkpoint. This happened quite a few times, and it rarely felt like it was my fault. More like Starkiller went to battle with his Heelys on. And then to really test me, one of the hardest bosses I have faced in any game in a very long time. This boss is lethal. Just playing the game usually will not work. You need a tactic and you need the right skills. If you don't know his weaknesses and specific combos to counter him, it isn't possible. So make sure you take my advice and get the skill before this boss fight. Don't worry though, I will go over these at the end in the Sith Master playthrough that's somehow even harder than this. Despite the difficulty of that boss, things were going great and the game was a blast. Until my collectible guide said that I will enter a moist cave, and sadly the moisture levels aren't the worst part as I scramble and struggle and fall far down trying to get a holocron from the peak of a jumping puzzle, which was bugged. The platform can randomly drop lower than it's supposed to, meaning you have to reload the game just to attempt it again. It is literally impossible if it drops down. Whilst fighting for my life against rancors and smaller enemies who, if they hit you, can just stun lock you, making most encounters a possible instant death, and this one a most likely instant death, I get the trophy Gripped and Shocked for defeating 100 enemies with Force Grip and Lightning. Then commences the next boss, Shark T, and again this one is a toughie. In my notes I wrote about the detailed strategy I came up with, and again you'll find out more about that in the Sith Master playthrough. Eventually she is beaten and Jedi Hunt is earned.
You are Vader's slave.
A single line from Vader finalizes Vader's secret intention, every true Sith Lord's motivation to overthrow the Emperor, his master, with Starkiller, except not really, because Vader is not really a Sith. He's a broken, emotionally confused Anakin Skywalker, a traumatized child with a lot of power, and Sidious has a full Force grip on his mind, resulting in Vader instead betraying his secret apprentice in fear of his uncaring master. Vader says this was a plot to make Sidious think Starkiller was actually dead. I'm sure there is more going on in his muddled mind for you to all theorise about. All that matters is we are now a free agent, Sith nor Jedi. There was a lot of room for emotional storytelling here, but you don't really get it. It's just a bad boy killing stuff that his dad abuses him into being a good boy, or an even badder boy later on. This is a great time to mop up the training tutorials though, including the Tough Lightning one, which gets us the Sith Training Trophy. This is sadly only half though, as the challenges remain, and these challenges, well, these should be saved until you have a lot more upgrades, and you will see why soon enough. Some encounters in this game are brutal, and I'm not convinced possible without using the game to your advantage. Here I hide behind escape pods and just force push them all to death. Do I feel bad for hiding around corners? Considering this isn't even the hardest difficulty, I have to do what I have to do. So no, I don't, because to be honest, whilst I'm having fun, I am also extremely concerned. The game is obviously going for the same combat as the classic God of War games, that same high intensity, fast paced hack and slash gameplay, but with a Star Wars flair. Except whilst I do like this game, the combat isn't quite as refined. Because enemies have the ability to stun lock you, their moves aren't choreographed in a way you can react to it, and there is no combo system that flows. This doesn't make the game bad, but when action-based games go up in difficulty and the game mechanics don't hold up, it can really show a lot of the flaws. The result is a game where if you're a masochist like me, you may still enjoy it. That is, if you like apparently just doing hit and run tactics, electrocuting people from behind walls, and just generally being a coward, or just play the game on normal. Regardless, the short mission ends with us saving the Empire Princess and denouncing our evil ways. Hurrah! The next trophy is earned.
Vader said you're dead.
I'm leaving the Empire behind.
Part 2. Why do good girls like Sith guys?
Now, hopefully I've gotten rid of the weak viewers who didn't make it this far, who thought I was just moaning about this game and hated it, but actually there is a lot of good that very few games accomplish. This level starts throwing a few different enemy types at you in large open areas, and you get to experience this game's strength as a sort of combat sandbox where your moves are ways in which you can mess around with the physics. One specific example I liked of this was electrocuting stormtroopers and watching them trying to claw onto random objects as they fly away. Where else can you do that? It's almost like this wacky fun of Just Cause snuck into a Star Wars game, and I'm all for it, as well as the trophy for this level. I remember loving the story of this game as a kid, thinking how cool it was the bad guy found an old Jedi and became a good guy. Well, in reality, a stroppy Sith kid blinds a Jedi hero, then goes back to him, kidnaps the now disabled man, and forces him to help or die. It's not really as good. Neither is completing a tough combat module, and then it randomly restarts, giving you no progress. Or the next challenge, which starts and then you immediately die.
Kill all
Or the next, where you fight 4 bosses who can block attacks and force powers easily. Yeah, you get the point. Game hard, get good, go play Lego Star Wars, stop crying kid. If you want to be good at this game, it really does only take one thing. You have to stun lock the enemies before they stun lock you, and so I had to get used to pressing square, square, triangle, triangle fast, because that's all I'd be doing. Maybe with a little bit of something else now and then. And I'm not lying to you, this combo is what you will be using until you get that platinum trophy. Whilst going through the next painfully difficult mission, I kill my 150th stormtrooper, getting us a trophy. Unfortunately, I missed my first collectible, and who knows what this means for the playthrough. Then I had the toughest encounter yet, with snipers who can take half your health, tanky robots who can slam dunk you, machine gunners mowing you down, jetpack troopers flying, and a giant AT-ST. This took me a while, and again, this isn't even the hardest difficulty. The benefit here is that we get the Expert and Legend trophy for acquiring 500,000 and 600,000 force points in a single level. And then the trophy for completing the level, which I missed 2 collectibles on. Ugh. Returning to Felucia has it all. First, I actually had no issue with this level. The upgrades really help, which gives me an idea for my next Sith Master playthrough, but we ain't quite there yet. Then, for those of you into more Eastern media, we have tentacles licking you all over and a case of the big suck. Then you have Rancor galore, which leads to 1 trophy for killing 6, and then another for killing the Rancor boss.
There's no need to kill me now.
Now, Bail Organa judges us for letting this woman escape, but I say if she can beg whilst touching this guy covered head to toe in Sarlacc tentacle juice, then I say she deserves to go. And this goes for Juno too, hinting that Starkiller has a crush on her as she uncovers that he's betraying her. Again, after nearly having her killed, she must be really desperate, but if an Empire spy is enough to make Starkiller doubt his Sith ways, then I guess hooray.
But 3. Sith brethren before Empire women.
And now, definitely through the power of love and not the extremely potent sigil crystal further boosting my lightning attacks on top of upgrades, the game is now a blast and you will feel powerful. Normally games start easy and get tough, but this one is the opposite, which is actually a pretty rewarding experience when you're some rage-fueled Sith. What's also rewarding is the Rebel Leader trophy for killing enough innocent people. We then come across where Sam Witwer technically fights against a character he will later voice in the future.
In my mind's eye, Kenobi. Kenobi!
The second boss fight is where the game comes back with some of its old school annoying jank though, and sadly it's one of the iconic moments of this game. Yep, the Star Destroyer. I bet your memory is like mine, right? Pulling it down like a badass. Well, sadly, the event hasn't aged that well, and whilst pulling it down, I didn't even realise the quick time event was just me holding down the grip button, and the result is me dying. At least the story develops a little though, and the betrayal section ends of who's betraying who, whose side is who. I don't even know anymore. I just know Vader got the last Apparently Starkiller failing a betrayal and getting his butt handed to him is a great excuse for Juno to give him the kiss of life.
Goodbye, Juno.
I'm very glad that's done. The kiss of life I needed was the Sith trial trophy for clearing all the training room challenges. The start of this final level on the Death Star has the last 80 ST needed for killing 8 of them. For this first playthrough, we need to choose our side, dark or light, in a classic 2000s ending choice. That is after you fight with the supposed strongest Force user and Chosen One, who is actually just a breeze if you just keep chucking things at him. The good side ending though is by far the hardest boss in the game. You have to play perfectly, but once you have the rotation down, it can be okay. You need to be blocking a lot, as it can counter lightning back at Palps. Eventually, he will lift objects into the air and you shouldn't have taken much damage. Hide behind a wall to block them, some may go out of the arena if you're lucky, and once he's thrown a few, be ready because you can time a lightning attack on him to get free damage off. Once Palps summons enemies, take them out using Force Repel, Force Push, whatever it takes to get them into the barriers. Rinse and repeat this method, and eventually the toughest boss goes down. We get the ending where the rebellion survives in thanks to Starkiller's corpse, and Juno mourns her lost toxic relationship with a blind man that clearly has Stockholm Syndrome. Either way, this gets a heap of trophies, including redemption for the light side ending, Sith Lord, Sith Warrior,
Maybe so.
and Apprentice for completing the game on their difficulties.
It's a trick.
And then Holocron Collector for finding the holocrons I missed. Which took more effort than I realised because one had bugged out and uncollected itself after I equipped the costume. So my advice is do not equip costumes until you hit a checkpoint, or just don't equip them at all, just don't take the risk. But now, as always with my struggle as a platinum YouTuber, I have to do the entire game all over again on an even harder difficulty. Wish me luck, because I'm scared this one will have me platinum by the end.
Part 4. I name you Darth Platinum.
You're probably expecting me to start screaming about how hard the game is. After all, Sith Lord was brutal. But, well, I didn't actually struggle too much with Master. There was the odd fight that was tough, but usually that fight ends up serving as a point for you to just farm XP, because XP carries over after death. Otherwise it's just running through the game again, maybe weaker, but just as strong. And after having learnt the game the hard way on Sith Lord, you're basically already a Sith Master. The final level will really push you to your limits, but just make sure you use walls and cowardly tactics. Namely, I developed a technique where you can use Sith Slam through a wall, which really helps. Boss fights are the exception here though, they're now absolutely, ridiculously unforgivable. I honestly have no idea what the developers were thinking for making the bosses this tough. It is not okay, so let's finally cover the bosses, shall we? Kazan Paratus, the fallen Jedi with his Yoda body pillow, is violently difficult, requiring a lot of luck and careful usage of the Sith Slam combo to stunlock him. Eventually he goes down, but this will be the hardest boss in the game for most, as there is no concrete tactic. A helpful tip is to use lightning. If he blocks, you quickly block. Once you eventually connect with lightning, aim for a Sith Slam. Shakti is probably the easier boss, but luckily for me, I somehow launch her off of the edge and insta-kill her. I'll try to repeat that if you want, I don't know how I did it. Otherwise, just Sith Slam her to death. That was a weird sentence.
Sorry, children.
The Rancor boss is the same as Sith Lord, just dodge and Sith Slam, no issue really. Then you have Proxy, who is just as easy, Sith Slam until the Maul boss, then Force Repulse Maul away as he sprints at you, and then go get him while he's down, rinse and repeat. Just do not go near him while standing because he can fully one-shot kill you and it's completely unavoidable and unblockable. You then have the final level with some disgusting enemy gauntlets. You need to seriously use walls here to hide, and you need to attack through them and pace out using red boosts and holocrons as lives because they heal you once picked up. I got lucky eventually and had one single small soldier left, which gave me enough time to lift up the exit to this area before more enemies spawned. And then last up is the final fight. As the dark side, you fight Darth Vader. His first phase is simple enough to just keep trying until he's low and then move on. His second phase is fine too, just throw things at him until he goes down. His third phase though, this guy is completely untouchable by conventional means. You can't hit him, you can't go in the air, you can't dodge, nothing. He will ruin you. You need to hold L2 to block anything he does and use the square circle combo to knock him into the air and get good damage off. You get this combo down and it is pretty easy, and the trophy for the bad ending and Sith Master will be yours. Congratulations. And now you may think, wow, you're done. That absolutely vile challenge is over. Congrats, random masochistic YouTube. Oh no. There is now a lot of grinding to do, and I'm sure as you're all learning from my channel, a bad grind can kill a good game.
Finish it.
Part 5. Have you heard the story of Darth Grindus?
Yeah, so this one is super simple, but it takes hours upon hours. You need to mop up a lot of kills. Even after an entire playthrough using lightning, I was still missing around 200 kills. So you have a choice. What I did was load up my Sith Lord save and keep replaying the first fight from the first mission, farming the enemies with whatever skill I was missing, and then quitting and restarting. This got me a whole heap of trophies. You could also do what I did for some other skills I never used and farm using Vader in the tutorial. The issue with this is that if you go past the infinite spawn accidentally, which I did on these bridges here, then a checkpoint goes off and you will lose your chance to farm there completely. Meaning you either restart the farm or you play the game until you unlock that skill as Starkiller. Now unfortunately for me, I did actually accidentally hit the checkpoint doing Force Repulse at around 400 kills, meaning I had to play half the entire game again to unlock the skill and get the trophy. I eventually get this trophy, mopping up a few other ones along the way too. Before I show you that trophy though, let me just give you a little shock. I am still not done with the game, as the trophy list has every piece of DLC on it too. Or so I thought, because against all odds, once I get this final grind trophy, the platinum popped and I was done. Overall, I actually do still love this game. Yeah, it's brutally hard. Yeah, the story is a little weird and quickly goes downhill. Yeah, the combat is a bit clunky, but you know, there just isn't quite a game like this. The game was so challenging at times that it made the platinum feel really rewarding. I'm not sure this one is for the faint of heart, but if you like a challenge, go for it. Many a time I thought this game would break me, but ultimately it made me appreciate an old classic in a new light. Thanks for watching. This is the final stretch now and just a few games remain. I'll see you in the next one, perfectionists.